handcuffed 2 other women and led to the bus that takes 50 of them to the courthouse. At the courthouse, we're put in a huge, dirty concrete room with one open toilet. The girls called it a dungeon. The cuffs come off, but the shackles stay on. We're up all night, some sitting, some pacing despite the shackles, even some trying to sleep on the cold concrete. It's a miserable night. 50 women talking, praying, waiting for the dawn. They're shivering. At 7 a.m. when the guards start yelling names, we are frozen, stiff, and exhausted. They're going to court to face really hard decisions, and they're worn out before they start. And she's worn out too, but she's not going to court. And she's going to have her breast cut off. But no one calls her name. She said she waited all day. She's cold. She's scared. And one-sided conversations with God. Okay, so where is she going with this? Okay, so a long time later, she wakes up in the jail. Her first thought is, oh God, you aren't done with me yet. 5 days of hospital vacation, a real bed, pillows, and 3 meals a day. She liked that part. Imagine how grim life is when you think hospital food is fabulous. Finally, it's back to jail, she said. The girls are waiting. For 5 days, no one has touched me but the surgeons with their knives and the nurses with their needles. At the jail, the girls break the rules and hug me because I've lost 28 lymph nodes. The surgeon has ordered a pillow because I'm at high risk of lymphedema and I need a pillow to protect my arm. Order denied. No pillows allowed in jail. We all feel helpless and they leave me alone. A few hours later, they come back with their own order. Close your eyes, Sue Ellen, and hold out your hand. When I do, I feel something soft. She must have got a pillow. I look to find the most beautiful pillow I've ever seen. The women contributed their precious supplies of Kotex. Okay, so they gave it a designer look. At the darkest time in her life, drug addicts, prostitutes, and murderers looked after her and she will never forget them. All because she got sick. Isn't that interesting? Oh, so they made her a pillow out of pads. Look at the prisoners looking out for people. The most beautiful pillow I've ever had, completely against the rules. I hid it under my mock every day for 2 months. Somehow it survived. That was 14 years ago. Like the pillow, somehow I survived. That's what she said. Okay, so let's see what else they have to say. I'm skimming through. Okay, so another person said the best things is the mental health services. Prisons may provide access to mental health support, including therapy, counseling, which can be crucial for those dealing with issues like addiction and trauma. Rehabilitation programs. Many prisoners offer educational and work training programs that help inmates acquire new skills, which can aid in their reintegration into society upon release. Okay, so another thing they're saying is good is the routine and the structure. The structured environment of a prison can provide stability for individuals who may have struggled with chaos in their lives prior to incarceration. A time for reflection. Incarceration can offer individuals the opportunity to reflect on their past actions and make plans for a more positive future. The next thing good about it is access to health care. In some cases, prisons provide better access to health care services than inmates might have had on the outside, addressing physical and mental health issues. The next good thing about prison is opportunity for change. For some, Prison serves as a turning point, motivating them to change their lifestyle to make better choices. The next good thing is support networks. Some inmates find support among fellow inmates or through programs that foster community and connection, which can be beneficial for personal growth. Okay, so while these aspects can be positive, it's important to recognize that overall prison experience can still be challenging and traumatic for many individuals. The effectiveness of these benefits depend on specific prison system and resources available within. Okay, so the next person said they're not so sure what the best thing about prison is, but they certainly know the worst. The worst part about prison is the time spent in jail beforehand. And for all of you yuppies, there is a difference between jail and prison. Jail is run by the county, and it's where you await the outcome of your case. Prison is run by the state, and it's where you serve the remainder of your sentence. Now, let me repeat that, people. For all of you yuppies, there is a difference between jail and prison. Jail is run by the county, and that's where you await the outcome of your case. Prison is run by the state, and it's where you serve the remainder of your sentence. Jail is where your buddy Dave spent that month after failing to pay alimony, where your cop friend Paul had to wait for 60 days after beating his wife. You remember Paul, don't you? He's the one who used his connections to get that expensive lawyer and got off because the detectives failed to photograph her bruises. I found myself in jail on an aggravated DUI and intention to distribute charge stemming from being caught with over an ounce of DEA Schedule 1 narcotics. And for all of you doodly do rights, there are 5 classes of scheduled drugs. One is the worst, and I'm not talking about marijuana. For some reason is still on Schedule 1 list despite being legalized for recreational use in many states. I'm talking about the first one on the list, a big boy drug. It's best enjoyed intravenously, whatever that means. So anyways, I was picking up a 2-week personal supply of products because I just cashed a few checks I got for Christmas, and I thought I could make 2 weeks worth of drugs last 2 weeks. One of the very few mistakes I've made in life. Well, anyways, of course, I had to sample the product before returning home. And then he said he had to make sure the quality was good, and sure he got a little bit more than his significant other was waiting, sweating. And then let's see what else he said. Quality was up to par. Thank you, homie. Hook up in the Mexican mafia. So I started to drive back. His vision began to fade as a bright light overtook his vision. However, it was not a meteor or comet, but rather the onset of oxygen deprivation. Okay? Time escapes him for the next few hours or seconds. A millennium passes each time I close his eyes. He says he sees a loved ones, the future, and memories. Okay, so let's get to the point, person. Okay. I don't really get what he's saying there, so let's see what else we find. Okay, so I guess he gets woken up by the cops asking him where are the drugs. And the cops said they know he has drugs in the car. And he responded, huh? Before he nodded off again. Okay. Let's see what else they say. I really don't understand his story the way he wrote this. We might just, let's completely skip him. Because that's just too much. He wrote so much. Jesus Christ. Okay, we're skimming through. He wrote so much. I don't see why. Okay, so this guy said years ago he was arrested in Texas for distributing free copies of a novel which had written in front of a movie theater without permission from the management. He mistakenly thought that Texas, like California, regarded public shopping as places where free speech prevailed. He was held for 40 days because he lives in Australia, and they seriously thought he would flee to Australia if they let him out. Anyways, his best experience was just observing the ingenuity of some of the other inmates. For 1 hour a day, we would be allowed into a cement area where we could see just a silver of sky through a gap between the roof and the 20-foot walls. This recreational area has 2 basketball hoops, but there were no basketballs. So people would smuggle a couple of towels into the area, then tie them in a big knot and use them as a basketball. We couldn't bounce it, of course, but there were special rules, a little like netball in Australia. The towels were also handy in another way. Each day they were replaced, but we could always get away with taking a few threads out of each towel and save them up to create a little knitted cross. The white threads could be tinted from Kool-Aid, purchased from the commissary, and some of them knew how to make a kind 3-dimensional cross. I never learned how. Okay, so let's see. Get to the point. He was nicknamed Old School because of his age, but he's proud that he eventually did more push-ups without stopping than he ever done in his youth. Okay. I'm skimming through. He wrote a lot. He said his cell was the only one in prison not to have been disciplined for any breaches during 40 days that he was there. He learned this from the guards who took their TV and coffee pot simply to be mean, because he felt that we needed to be reminded of what might happen if we did break any of the long list of rules that they had. Oh, and I came to appreciate ramen noodles a lot more once I was introduced to them as prison popcorn, which prisoners would snack on without water when the coffee pot was taken away. I would love to meet some of those guys today, although I realistically expect that a lot of them would have continued to do things that got them thrown back into prison. That's funny. Okay, just a moment. And now would be a good moment to like, share, and subscribe. And comment below if you've tried prison popcorn. That's an interesting, I guess they make it out of ramen noodles. We'll have to get more into that to figure out how do you make prison popcorn. Sounds yummy, right? Okay. To find good things in prison, you might have to look pretty hard. If you can be optimistic in the real world, then you might be able to find some bright spots in prison. I made some new friends in prison. I met some truly good men. These are men that you would be proud to have as a neighbor and would feel secure at night, knowing they were right next door. I also met some of the most despicable excuses for humanity ever seen. But we're focused on the good today. I taught GED class for a while. It was pretty intimidating to get in front of a bunch of angry inmates and lecture about blah, blah, blah. Eventually, I got to be comfortable talking to this hostile crowd and lost my fear of public speaking. Last year, I applied for a job. The first interview was a interview that he normally would have been terrified, but thanks to his GED teaching experience, he aced it. Okay, let's see what else he has to say. I guess people get more creative in learning how to do things in prison, he said. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, he said he hopes you like to read because that's all you'll get to do. Plenty of it. After all, he said he found out he had become a more flexible person. Heck, he's eaten out of a trash can. And it must have been some, maybe, burger. Imagine if a cop throws a burger in the trash can and you've been eating crap every day and you see a little bit of a cheeseburger left over. Like, you're like, that looks like it might be good. You might eat out of the trash for the first time. Interesting. Okay, let's see. Is there something else good? Okay, so this person said this is what they like about prison. They have a roof over their head. You'll never be lonely ever again or want for company. Great if you like reading, as there's always a prison library. Okay? Free board, no rent, no mortgage. Heck, you can have a room for life if you want it, although room is at the premium at the moment. Well, it has been for quite a while, and always they'll have a bed for you. Okay, so I like what he said. This is what he likes about prison: a roof over your head. They have a prison library for people who like reading. You'll never be lonely ever again. You'll always have company. Free board, no rent, no mortgage. They always have a bed for you. And 3 meals a day. I mean, I guess he's saying you can't beat that. They may not be great. It varies from prison to prison, but it's one of those things that cons say in England to their other fellow cons when discussing the merits of certain establishments that are dotted around the country. It'll be like, what, blah, 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 blah. You're never going to starve, and if you ain't feeling the food that day, cool, make tuna. And I've made some of the best curry I've had in prison. No bills, self-explanatory. Also, no stress of bills. You can lie in till you want. If blah, blah, blah. Okay, if he comes back that afternoon, you can tell him then why you haven't gone. I guess they have some type of work in prison that he's talking about. I didn't really understand how he wrote that. Let's see what else they said. Okay, so this guy said free gym membership. All year round gym membership can't be bad. All that getting fit you've been meaning to do, well, you've got no excuse now with a gym on your doorstep and half you pals trying to drag your butt down there. Okay? Access to unlimited supplies. We won't get into what he's talking about there. Skimming through. You can finally give up smoking after all those years. Plus, if you're a non-smoker already, I bet you won't be glad to be away from people that do that. You worry less, he said. Everything is taken care of. Well, with all that, all the above, there's only one thing missing, I think. Oh, he said, if you're gay, then you're going to have a field day in there. If you're straight, not so much, but we'll have to make do with, you know, XX videos. But there will be a fantastic supply of DVDs if you like that type of stuff, he said. Oh, pages missing and stuck together. If you're prison gay, you'll be accommodated somewhere along the lines and you'll find what you're looking for. Perhaps you want to read a XXX type of thing. Whatever he's talking about, he's confusing me. Let's see. I'm skimming through. This person said the best things about prison come far and few between because, speaking honestly, prison is crap. But if it digs deep enough into my memory, I can come up with a very few things that were any good at all. One of the things that was better than I expected was the other people that she was incarcerated with. Those people are just like you and I. They care about each other and they have feelings. They pretty much put their socks on the same way as anybody else does. Before going to prison, she was afraid of even the thought of going to such a place. She wondered, how was I going to deal with a bunch of bad people, just knowing that I wasn't a bad person myself, but it wasn't like that at all. They're only bad people if you have it coming. If you don't get caught up in the chaos, everything goes smooth. it's like people tend to think it will be. Another good thing about it is the fact that if you want, you can get an education. If you don't have your diploma or GED, you have to go to school. While you may not like it, it's in your best interest. You really can't make it in the real world with or without the other, and it's free. If you have your diploma or GED, you can learn a trade or get certified in a profession that you can use once you are released. So therefore, you aren't wasting your time sitting in prison. You are bettering yourself. Those are the few things that were good. I'm glad you didn't ask what was the worst thing about prison, because everything else was the worst, and there's so many things that there's worth mentioning. Okay, so this person said, let me start by saying I have never done time up the road, but I have done my time in county. This person said, I have been in jail in 8 counties each time with another handful of felonies. At least one violation of probation. And then this person said, let's see. They hate the thought of metal beds, the color of orange, bologna, and ramen. They said, they hate that you have no control over who you sleep next to, what you eat, what goes on in the outside world, and you even lose the ability to use the restroom at your own will. Even though there are so many things that this person said they don't like about jail, they can truly say they're grateful for it. Being locked up forced them to be sober. It forced them to realize what havoc they had caused, and it helped them to realize just how close they was to being 6 feet under. They have fallen again and again each time they've stepped up out of those doors, but that is because they didn't want their life bad enough at that moment. They said they don't think there is an award-winning event in prison that they could label the best thing, but for them, the best thing was having time for themselves, having time to reflect on what got them in the orange outfit, having the ability to do nothing but read all day. I guess he makes it sound like roses. You just kick back, relax, pop out your book, talk about your book. Okay, so this person said there are many kinds of people in the world, and prison is perceived by different people differently. This person said they had good times inside. A lot of us did, but some guys hated it. The difference is whether you're ready to square up and be a soldier, or whether you're going to sit there like a mama's boy crying on the floor. I don't know who, so I can only speak from my own point of view. A view shared by thousands and thousands of proper convicts throughout the USA. Also, there are prisons in other countries, which I know nothing. I can only read as American facilities. So this person said, education. You're going to learn something whether you're in an official program or not. There's a lot of stuff to learn about humanity and social behavior. It's a crash course in human sociology. The same person said, also formal programming is available, although it is a hit or miss in some states. Don't put a big emphasis on this. Other states just can't afford to. From, basic truck driving, he said. Physical fitness programs, landscaping, maintenance, tree maintenance. Some type of other thing that I don't understand. Okay, so the next thing is he said relaxation. Some guys are anxious and full of fear. For them, it's hard to relax in prison. For the rest of us, the experience is like an extended vacation right in the middle of your life. For most guys, it's the first vacation they've ever been on. The first period during which they didn't have to hustle every day to make $1 and stay ahead in a game. A huge weight is lifted off when you realize there's nothing you can do to affect circumstances on the outside, and you only have to focus on your basic needs day to day. It is true freedom. Next person said, work experience. Unless you're just an absolute sad sack, you're going to do some kind of work in prison. In the federal system, this is very organized. Every man is assigned a work function, no matter how simple. In county jails, you can be a trustee. In Texas State Prison, there is agriculture work. Either way, you're going to come out knowing how to do something you didn't know when you went in. Next thing that he said was good is opportunity. The point is for criminals only, not people who just did something stupid and got caught for it. If you use your time efficiently in prison, you can make a lot of contacts. These can be useful later when you get out. You can meet people in there who can make your life a lot easier once you're released. That is, if you expect to go back into the business you were in before you got there, this happened in his case. So then he said, health. Facts are facts. And most guys go into prison addicted to drugs. And this is sad but true. In prison, it's hard to get drugs. You have to be really connected. You have to have a lot of money. Most likely, you're not going to get a lot of drugs when you're in prison. Therefore, you're going to be off the drugs possibly for the first time in your life. The positive effects on a person's health from this period of sobriety cannot be underestimated. Also, given the state of health care in the United States, this is the first exposure most inmates have to formal medicine at all. That's really pathetic, but at least in prison, you will see a doctor regularly, a dentist, an ophthalmologist, etc. Next thing is society. Chances are you need to reorganize your external society. This may involve getting rid of your girlfriend or ex-wife, getting rid of your friends, and getting out of the business you were in, and also may involve switching cities. Going to prison is going to upset all of your variables in this line. Therefore, your society will be reorganized for you by the experiences of going in. After you get out, you will be on parole or probation, and those guys will keep an eye on you so that you can at least start off trying to do the right thing. Here is a quote from the details concerning this question. I know that being in a prison is the worst experience one can have. This is absolutely not true. The worst experience you can have is watching your 8-year-old child die from leukemia and knowing there's nothing you can do about it. So try to keep things in perspective. The next person said, there honestly are no best things about prison, only less best things. Visits are nice to get, but it's expensive for family. It's often quite a trip, and it's only a few hours. It's bad, but it's better than not getting visits. To me, currently living in the aftermath of a 10-year sentence, they said they can attest to this fact. Prisons need to pay their inmate workers much better. Not because they deserve a bunch of money, though. It would reduce many forms of crime in prison, increase some others like, like drug use, I'd guess, but that happens regardless. I don't know what he's talking about there. However, the biggest problem is this. We are not prepared. These people, they don't prepare these people for release in a couple of ways. So it says if they were able to get paid more and maybe even require a certain amount to be set aside in savings for release only, then it would be easier for inmates to get out and not immediately look to commit more crimes. They can pay for rent and food a while until they can find work, hopefully. Know what happens now? They get $200 gate money, a number that has not been fixed since the 1973. I wager today 200 is more like 26 back in 73. That 200 from 1973 about, I don't know what he means here. I guess he's just saying money is not worth the same as it used to be. He said if inmates were forced to engage in an economic system in prison where they have to budget and be frugal, they will be better able to get out even after long terms like mine and be economically wise, better able to care for themselves and their family without breaking the law. European prisons, some have this same ideal, but they put it into practice. There are countries whose prisons are set up like apartment complexes where inmates work their way to being able to work outside and make real money, buy things for themselves, save money for release, and practice pitching in being a real part of the gross national product, participate in the economy. So that's the worst. That prison does nothing to prepare people for their eventual release. That's all he had to say instead of all those details. He said it's depressing, trust me. It's really hard to find good work with a record. Okay, so he's saying when you get out. But now would be a good time to like the video, to subscribe. If you've been to prison, let us know in the comments below. Comment below. Let us know what you like about prison or what you didn't like. Or if you're going to be going to prison soon, go ahead, share your life experience. This person said, being in prison or jail is not a picnic. You're literally stripped of any creature comforts and given the most basic of needs. You no longer have privacy or rights. You're a criminal and you're treated as such. Still, it might be surprising to learn that while most people avoid jail like a plague, some find it to be better than life on the outside. You don't have access to family or friends, and if you don't have the right connections in jail, this means you don't have access to drugs. It's not an ideal place to detox, but some jails have programs that will medicate inmates so they are more comfortable during the process. This person said you get 3 meals a day, and for some people, this is a step up from not eating at all. Plus, they are all cooked for you, served to you, and you don't have to worry about the cleanup. While it might be a hassle to get there, some prisons have a really good medical team and can provide care to inmates they otherwise would not receive on the outside. You can enroll in programs, classes. They even offer to help people get their GED or teach a trade you can use on the outside. It's warm. You have shelter. Your clothes are clean and provided. You have running water and can take a hot shower. It might be hard to imagine jail being a positive experience, but if you're living on the street in the dead of winter, jail probably sounds like a paradise. I guess you'll get happy if the cops say, oh, we're taking you in, and you've been outside. You're looking like, get me there faster. When do I get to eat? When do I get to take my hot shower? 3 meals a day? Oh, I get to meet new people? I guess. Okay, let's see what they said. Okay, so this person said before going to prison, they read a book called Zen and the Art of Happiness, which mentioned how to see everything as an opportunity, which a lot of us never do. I tried this and it worked, even the traumatic events. This person said they went to prison for 18 months. And OWI, somewhat enthusiastic. In turn, I was able to appreciate the unique architect from the inside of a 100-year-old fortress not many people get to see. He said he got his bench up over 250 and came back with biceps, triceps twice the size he even had in college. He wrote 1,500 pages of a memoir I never would have taken time to write in my own spare time to this day. I maintain humility, not humiliation. Know the difference. That allows me to observe people and how pretentious, entitled, and self-righteous they all really are. If they only knew. I ate my meals with guys doing life, and if you think about it, are still there as I'm typing this. That was 2016. I worked in a machine shop and got to make license plates and public library furniture. Then he said, I was not made to, I was allowed to. I saw human instinct behavior at its ultimate worst. I saw things you can't even read about in books. I learned to count the smallest of my blessings. I learned to enjoy every sandwich and more. And again, the book he read was called Zen, the Art of Happiness. And he said the book mentions how to see everything as an opportunity. And even in the most traumatic events, that's what the book is pretty much about. I liked some of these people's perspective. This person said, look for the silver lining in the thundercloud of incarceration. I would have to say some of the people you meet. I have met some very intelligent, resourceful people. I have met some amazing artists. I have met some people I now claim as friends. I've also learned who my real friends were prior to my incarceration. That in itself was educational. And speaking of education, my time incarcerated was very educational. I learned to see things clear without the filters of society and the propaganda we are fed from birth. Most interesting, I have also self-taught myself about the laws of our nation's courts and social history. It is amazing how a mundane and dry subject like law can become exciting and interesting when it's impacting your existence. The rest pretty much sucked, but I do not recommend it for a retirement program. The service was terrible. Okay. This person said a friend of a friend ended up in prison for trying to poison his wife with some blah, blah, blah. Okay. It was about child custody. Okay. Okay, let's see. They didn't really get to what was good about prison, so we're skipping them. This person said the best thing in prison was the day he was released after serving his sentence. The worst thing was the day he started his sentence in prison. That's the only best thing. Now, the worst thing about prison, having to live by a set of rules made many inmates over the years such force racism, having to back up your buddy no matter what the circumstances or risks you have to take with your freedom and even lives in some cases. Just the whole caveman mentality. You seem to have to live each day by that, is unless you want to get punked and pimped out. And the way you're looked up on and treated by most staff because you're a convict now. What none of the staff ever makes bad mistakes, not being able to trust anyone completely. Just one best thing and long list of worst things. Just being told when to sleep, eat, and crap. And piss is one of the worst. So again, this person said the best thing about prison was the day they were released, and the worst thing was the day that they served their first day. Their first sentence. Okay. Okay, so this person said the best thing in her day for prison was when her husband would come visit and during their kiss. You only get two, a first and a last. He would, she said he would slip her certain drugs from his mouth to hers. Those particular days on the inside were actually rather nice. Okay, cool lady. What are the pros and cons of being in prison? Okay, so this question was closer to something like, why should we not do crimes if our prisons are so cushy? Some dumb crap like that. And I said, yeah, I don't know what you've heard about prison life, but anyone who thinks three free meals a day and television and place to sleep is something for someone to live for and look forward to, I would say you probably need to be re-educated. The cons are obvious. Finding legit work will be exceedingly difficult. Not many people willing to give guys like us a second chance despite what you've heard. I'm still a loner because I'm unable to trust any male to be real loyal friend, and I'm also not very good at relationships in general. Something wrong with my empathy and trust buttons for real. Relationships are few and far between me. Not sure if that's a good thing or bad thing. This person said, I haven't had one male friend in over 7 years. And he has bad dreams. He suffers from depression. And he said, let's see what else he says. It looks like he's getting off topic. Okay, so we might read a few more. What is the pros and cons of being in jail? You need to use the toilet in front of others. It's extremely embarrassing. You can't use the toilet in peace because you need to flush the toilet every time you you let one out or drop, That's what this person said. Otherwise, something bad will happen to you. The food is near inedible. Usually the showers are only separated by a wall in between, so you get zero privacy. Everyone can see you. If you're really unlucky, your shower area is just one big open room. The uniform makes you feel worthless, and it also itches like crazy. Chip your tooth? Are your gums bleeding? Dentistry in prison is garbage. Good luck with that. If you have, let's see what else he said. If you have longer hair as a man, your hair is shaven, buzz cut, and you end up looking like a soldier. Okay. Wow. This person said for them the best thing about prison was after 8 hours, the gate I went to opens and lets him go home. I guess he must work there. Okay, so this person said, only good thing that came out of being in prison was I learned to value the small things in life, like waking up, fixing breakfast, or simply going outside and coming home without having to strip, bend over, and spread eagles. You quickly remember how much you miss the small things. Wow, right? And then this person said, you will learn who your friends are. The ones who stick by your side while you are in are your real friends. Those are the take advantage of your situation will show themselves. Prison deprives the prisoner of many of life's pleasures, conveniences, and freedoms. You don't really know what prison is until you've been deprived of it. You don't know what is valuable until you've lost it. In the end, assuming you return to a free life, you will look at life in a new perspective with newfound values. You probably never appreciated being able to turn off your own light before you went in. When you get out, you may see things as I do. I think about my good fortune now almost every time I throw the switch. Everybody should do sometime. It should be a requirement. Wait, he had the funniest one. Him talking about being able to turn your light switch on and off. That was really funny. This person said not much of positives, except maybe being thankful for all the things you took for granted on the outside when you get out. This person said, what are the pros and cons of being in prison? I have to respectfully disagree with the answers that they say there aren't any pros to being in prison. I got good stuff out of my time in the joint. Don't get me wrong. It was miserable, and given the choice, so this person said, I left prison a very different person than I entered. And yes, some of those changes were, well, not good. But others absolutely were. I walked in soft and round and walked out hard and sharp. He must have worked out, both in body and mind. I read all the books I always wanted to. I went through phases of French and Russian literature, English, 19th century Americans up into the Southern Gothic era of O'Connell and Faulkner, poetry from Shakespeare to Pumpkin to Dylan Thomas, for God's sake, which would never have happened had I not had several hours a day to get rid of. I was doing 1,000 push-ups a day. I learned how to read people and body language and sense tension and danger in the air. I learned how to fight and how to defend myself. I learned how to cut metal. I learned the heck out of patience. But of all these things, the biggest pro I got out of prison was surprisingly perspective. If you can not only survive but thrive after you have lost hope living in the void, that prison becomes your years and years spent there. It makes the rest of life kind of like a snap. Keep in mind that not everyone comes out of this. In fact, most do not parole with anything even close to what I'm saying. That's just how it worked for me. As with everything in life, the facts are what they are. But it is up to the individual as to how he deals with it. My situation was bad, and sure, I got depressed a lot. But at the same time, I'd be living with a guy who was my age but had been doing a life sentence since he was 16 just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So if having any pity ever crosses my mind, I didn't have to look far to see someone else who was way worse off than I. And I try to carry that sense with me now. Whatever mess I find myself in, I try and just step back for a moment and realize this is not a big deal. Nobody is trying to harm me. Nobody is beating me senseless and dragging me to the hole. Life is good. Life is short. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's a lesson that I don't think I would have ever learned had I not gone through the ringer. And of course, the price tag was hefty. I missed 8 funerals while I was inside. One of them, my older brother's. 8 funerals? That's a lot. I still wake up screaming some nights, bathed in sweats from nightmares that I can't remember. I can get extreme anxiety around crowds of loud people, and the list of cons is long, and I feel that many of the others covered them pretty well, so I won't add to that. I just want to honestly assess and answer the question, because it's hard for me to admit that this place, which I hate from the deepest depths of my soul, could have given me anything but pain and hatred. Two things I gave in spade that I carry with me still. The bottom line is this: I would not have willingly gone through it, but the truth is the strongest steel must be first forged in the crucible. Okay, so this person said, you get healthy. The food is crappy and generally unappetizing, but mandated by the law to be nutritionally complete, and there being little junk food outside of the commissary. An inmate eats healthier than the average American. If you have a pot belly going in, you are apt to lose it before leaving. You don't see many fat inmates. I have heard it said that the diet adds several years to your natural lifespan, but the stress may well take that from you. Like you want to live a long life in prison. So they're saying that the food there is nutritional, so nutritional that you live healthier than the average American. That's crazy. But there are also a great number of older inmates there who have been there for decades who look very healthy at their age. But that might be because most sickly ones are moved to other facilities with more medical services. And older inmates make better model inmates, so they rather not have to replace you. Okay. And the food is crappy. Most inmates have to be there a while to get themselves to eat it. It looks good on the plate, several entrees usually, but all taste pretty much the same, for they use no seasoning, and most is processed food from cans and grates, often over and undercooked, served on assembly lines by inmates who are pushed to get it on the trays as fast as possible. So often sloshed over the edge of another entree, spinach juice and everything. They do have a balance of vegetables, but only if you eat everything on the tray. After some time, most inmates do, for it to become the expected, usual, and accepted as food. After some time, most inmates do, for it to become the expected, usual, and accepted as food. Never heard anyone get excited over the meal, though. Basically, supervisors for the food being served. This person said that he was a lineman for a couple of kitchens, basically supervisor for food being served. So I saw it cooked and where it came from and how the trays looked going out the window. This person said prison is bad in that the humans are not meant to put their life on hold for years, as they have no XXX, no career, no family life. It results in very bad things and is not conducive to gaining any useful skills or fitting in. They have programs, but these are to satisfy the letter of the law. Usually the employees do it badly or not at all. The thing they care about is billing. Billing the taxpayer. The good side is you make good friends. And life is much simpler. It is like being a 12-year-old. Do what you are told and nothing more. Those are it. The good is that it breaks time to reconsider. The bad is it is the ultimate waster of life. Okay. Next person say your basic needs. Food, clothing, shelter, medicine are supplied. You don't have any bills to pay. You may have time to read or develop an artistic talent. You may get your education paid for. If you need partners, well, you have plenty of those. Mind you, it's a big price to pay. A big price to pay. This person said, if you want to approach it from let's make lemonade out of lemons approach, there can be some good things. I know that I got mental health treatment I needed. I got a chance to reassess what was important in life. I got to restore my relationship with God, and I got to learn how to deal with adversity. Prison can be a terrible place. I was extremely blessed in being locked up in a decent, medium security facility, and he said he had a great cellmate. This person, what was their favorite prison experience? Let's see. I don't see what the way they wrote. They didn't make it so easy. Yeah, that person, they're really bad at explaining. Okay, this person too. Okay, so the pros. This person said free food, you can shower, you have a bathroom 1 feet away from your bed, tons of people to talk to, your drug addiction, it will clean you up, you will learn lots of new stuff, free place to live if you're homeless, you are safer in jail than living on the street. Free health care, they got great doctors. I had a skin condition, and when I went to 4 doctors, they couldn't heal it. I went to jail. The doctor was able to tell me what's wrong. He gave me medicine. I was healed within 7 days. Con, lack of freedom. The food sucks. If you have a decent light on the street, you're going to hate jail. Okay. It's a crappy life. Jail can be a good thing for you, or maybe it'll be a wake-up call for you. This person said it depends on what prison you're in. If you are in a USP, which is a federal high security, you will be at times stressed out due to the politics, but you can work on your mental state and physical. The only 2 things I did was the respect is a huge factor, and I love that also the rec became at the yard. If we wasn't locked down, I went in and at 190 pounds, and in 3 years I was 210, solid muscle without all these vitamins and other crap that's in the free world. But the respect is something huge at the mediums. There's still respect, but people clown and get their butts crushed. You have time to work on yourself. At the end of the day, whoever does it, it's because they don't want to. Okay, and I believe we are at the end of our video, so now is a good time to like, subscribe, share the video, comment below. Did you like this long prison episode video that I made just for you about the good things about prison, to, let you know to be grateful for your current life. If you're not happy, find something to get happy about. Because in prison, the highlights is working out, reading, finding religion, establishing your mental space, minding your own business. Don't gamble. Don't mess with other officers. Be courteous. Be helpful. Don't write a check your body can't cash. Oh, whatever that means. Okay, yeah, so basically, the point of this video is to let you know that you are living a really good life on the outside and to never take it for granted. And that prison isn't for everyone. But for some of you out there, you said you were thinking of prison as a retirement plan. So that's why I'm doing the prison series, to educate you all on, do you want to stick as prison as a retirement? Do you want to change your mind and maybe figure out another way to